Welcome to History with Herodotus, where the boundaries of time and space are bridged by the power of storytelling. Today, we embark on a journey through the ashes of a city to recount the tale of the Great Fire of London, an inferno that would etch its mark on the annals of history. In the sweltering summer of 1666, a catastrophe of unimaginable proportions would unfold, reducing the medieval heart of London to smoldering ruins. As we delve into this pivotal moment, let us first set our gaze upon the city as it stood in the years preceding the disaster. In the mid-17th century, London was a bustling metropolis, its narrow streets and wooden buildings a testament to its medieval heritage. The city's population had swelled, with thousands of inhabitants living in close quarters, their homes and businesses often mere feet apart. This densely packed urban landscape was a tinderbox waiting to be ignited, as wooden structures, open fires, and closely packed buildings created a perilous environment. As we wander through the streets of 17th century London, we find a city beset by poverty, overcrowding, and inadequate infrastructure. The lack of proper sanitation, coupled with the proximity of homes to industrial activities like baking and blacksmithing, created an ever-present risk of fire. Despite these hazards, the city's inhabitants went about their daily lives, unaware of the catastrophe that loomed on the horizon. The summer of 1666 had been particularly dry, with a prolonged drought leaving wooden buildings and thatched roofs parched and vulnerable to sparks. In the months leading up to the Great Fire, London was also a city in turmoil. The English Civil War had recently subsided, leaving deep scars and a sense of unease among its population. King Charles II, restored to the throne in 1660, faced numerous challenges in rebuilding his nation, including a struggling economy and a series of devastating plague outbreaks. As the summer of 1666 drew to a close, London's residents were bracing themselves for yet another hardship, though none could have predicted the scale of the disaster that was to come. On the eve of the Great Fire, a sense of normalcy prevailed in London. Merchants and traders went about their daily business, while artisans and craftsmen plied their trades in workshops scattered throughout the city. The air was thick with the smells of bread, coal, and wood smoke, as the sounds of hammers ringing out against anvils and the murmur of conversation filled the narrow streets. It was a city on the cusp of greatness, yet simultaneously teetering on the brink of disaster. As the sun dipped below the horizon on September 1, 1666, a sense of tranquility settled over London, but it was short-lived. In the wee hours of September 2nd, a spark ignited at a bakery on Pudding Lane, owned by Thomas Farrinor, the king's baker. The exact circumstances of the fire's origin are shrouded in mystery, but it is believed that a combination of factors, including the oven being left unattended and the highly flammable nature of the surrounding wooden structures, contributed to the inferno's rapid spread. As the first flames licked at the bakery's windows, panic began to set in among the nearby residents. The fire, fueled by strong easterly winds and a sea of closely packed wooden buildings, quickly gained momentum, jumping from roof to roof with alarming speed. By dawn on September 2nd, the conflagration had already consumed several city blocks, sending waves of terrified citizens fleeing for their lives. The narrow streets, once filled with the sounds of commerce and daily life, were now choked with people desperate to escape the encroaching flames. Sir Thomas Bloodworth, the Lord Mayor of London, was summoned to the scene, but his response would prove woefully inadequate. Upon arriving at Pudding Lane, he reportedly declared, "A woman could piss it out," downplaying the severity of the situation and failing to grasp the gravity of the unfolding disaster. This egregious underestimation would have far-reaching consequences, as the fire continued to rage unchecked, devouring everything in its path. As the day wore on, the inferno intensified with towering flames that seemed to touch the sky. The roar of the fire was deafening, a cacophony of crackling wood, shattering glass, and screams from those trapped in the burning buildings. The heat was so intense that it melted the very bells of St. Paul's Cathedral, which had stood tall for centuries. The once majestic church, now a smoldering ruin, became a haunting symbol of the city's destruction. On September 3rd, King Charles II and his brother James, Duke of York, took to the streets, attempting to coordinate a response to the disaster. They ordered the creation of fire breaks, where buildings would be demolished to starve the fire of fuel. but these efforts were often hindered by the very citizens they aimed to help. Panicked homeowners, fearing their own properties would be destroyed, resisted the king's orders, leading to chaotic scenes and further delays. As the fire continued its relentless march across London, it left a trail of devastation in its wake. The historic Custom House, the Navy Office, and even the famous Baynard's Castle all fell victim to the flames. By September 4th, the Inferno had already consumed much of the city, with the exception of a few isolated pockets, including the area around Whitehall Palace. The king, realizing the gravity of the situation, ordered a series of emergency measures, including the deployment of soldiers to maintain order and the establishment of relief centers for those displaced by the fire. As night fell on September 4th, the fire showed no signs of abating, its fury unabated as it continued to ravage the city. The sky was a deep, burning orange, with flames that seemed to stretch on forever. The air was thick with smoke and ash, making every breath a struggle. And yet, even in the midst of such unmitigated disaster, there were moments of resilience and courage. As one eyewitness, Samuel Peace, would later recall, the people were all assisting one another, and those that had escaped the fire were helping those who were not so fortunate. It was a testament to the enduring spirit of London's citizens, even as their city burned around them. As the night of September 4th wore on, the fire finally began to show signs of abating, its fury slowly diminishing as it consumed the last remaining pockets of fuel. By dawn on September 5th, the Inferno had largely burned itself out, leaving behind a smoldering landscape of charred rubble and ash. The city, once a thriving metropolis, was now a desolate expanse of destruction, with countless homes, businesses, and landmarks reduced to nothing more than memories. In the aftermath of the disaster, King Charles II and his government sprang into action, establishing a series of relief centers and committees to oversee the rebuilding efforts. The king himself took a keen interest in the reconstruction process, appointing a commission headed by Sir Christopher Wren, Robert Hooke, and Nicholas Barban to develop a plan for the new city. As one contemporary observer noted, "The King's Majesty, with great care and concern, hath taken upon him the regulation of the said city, that it may be rebuilt in a more commodious and beautiful manner than before." As the rebuilding efforts got underway, it became clear that the Great Fire of London would have a lasting impact on the city's architecture, layout, and infrastructure. The fire led to significant changes in building codes and regulations, with a greater emphasis placed on fire safety and prevention. The creation of wide, straight streets, such as Fleet Street and Ludgate Hill, helped to improve traffic flow and reduce the risk of future fires. And, of course, the iconic St. Paul's Cathedral, designed by Sir Christopher Wren, rose from the ashes like a phoenix, its majestic dome becoming a symbol of the city's resilience and determination. Today, the Great Fire of London is remembered as a pivotal moment in the city's history, a catastrophic event that brought about significant changes and improvements. As historian Thomas Babington Macaulay once wrote, "The fire of London was a great calamity, but it was also a great blessing in disguise." The fire led to the creation of a more modern, efficient, and beautiful city, one that would go on to become a global hub of commerce, culture, and innovation. In the centuries since, the Great Fire of London has been commemorated in countless ways, from monuments and memorials to artworks and literature. It remains an important part of the city's cultural heritage, a reminder of the power of disaster and the resilience of the human spirit. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.